Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Move Better channel. I'm your host, Dr. Joe, and this is John Penacerrada, the professor. Today we're gonna be talking to you guys about frozen shoulder and some of the things that may come along with it, but we're gonna give you guys some 5 tips, 3 exercises, and 2 do nots for you guys to fix your frozen shoulder. Let's get it going.
So what is frozen shoulder?
So frozen shoulder is, in the medical terms, is adhesive capsulitis. It's when you don't have range of motion within your shoulder, or the shoulder is actually starting to develop scar tissue, or it's inhibiting your movement because there's just so much pain in that area. Yep. Now, frozen shoulder, it can actually be a variety of different things. It can be chronic pain syndrome, so there's a bunch of different differentials that can be the leading cause of lack of movement within the shoulder. But it's very important that you guys get properly diagnosed with frozen shoulder and have somebody actually assess your movement patterns, because frozen shoulder is often misdiagnosed by a lot of practitioners out in the field, especially when they're just saying, move your shoulder up and down, and they're just doing some active range of motion tests on them. Yeah. And they find that they can't move their shoulder, and then all of a sudden it's boom, frozen shoulder. Right. It's kind of like when they say plantar fasciitis. Plantar fasciitis is not always just plantar fasciitis. Right. It's something that is the cause of that.
So like a description would be what? Like I've seen some that have this lack of range of motion, right? So they try to get an arm up and they could barely get it up to about here, right? Frozen
shoulder is very, very specific diagnosis, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, it takes a while for you guys to get back into normal, right? It's not going to be a one-day type of thing where you're going to be feeling, oh my gosh, I'm better after one day. Yeah. We have to retrain the frozen shoulder or the scar tissue. We have to make sure that the movement patterns are pain-free, and that's something that we're going to talk about today.
Cool.
So what are some of the things that you've dealt with when you've seen frozen shoulder? You were telling me a diagnosis that, or some of your patients, right, and some of the things that you were working with.
Right. So I've had clients and patients that came up, and you know, the lack of mobility of the shoulder was questionable, right? So like you said, how do you know it's frozen shoulder? But some of the things that I saw, right, like what I did earlier, was like, you know, just lack of movement, lack of
it's actually more like this right there.
They start doing this thing, and then now they compensate because they can't get anything over their head,
start to see their body move.
And then I've had other practitioners and therapists, you know, tell me, oh, you need to start stretching them this way or start doing this exercise on the wall, so forth and so on. But that approach seemed to not have fixed the problem.
So let's hear some of those myths. What are the stretches that you've heard?
Oh, everything from let's stretch the lats.
Stretch the lats. Right?
Let's stretch the traps. Let's use, here's one common one they will teach you, is to climb the wall. Right?
Walk their hands up the wall.
And then just hold it there and then force it, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, what I found is, hey, the body is resisting because it's reacting to it for some reason, right?
Yeah.
And you're not really giving the solution of why is it that the body's reacting that way.
Exactly.
Right.
And so the tip number one is do not stretch or even force a stretch to a foam roller. So that's tip number one. We want to make sure that we work in pain-free motions and we don't force anything. I've gotten that a lot with a lot of my patients, that they would walk their hands up the wall, they would force stretches, or they would have practitioners grab their arm and they would, you know, put them in certain positions that they lacked their stretching or their mobility. It's not about more stretching. Remember, when I said it's very fibroblastic proliferative, meaning there are cells in the shoulder joint that are ready to heal as soon as pain fibers are sent to, our signals are sent up. And so when you create more of an inflammatory process in the joint itself, which pain increases in inflammation, you don't want that healing process to freeze the shoulder up even further. So step number one, don't stretch in pain. Do not move in pain-sensitive motions. The more you push it, the more it's going to actually start to freeze up on you. So step number two, another thing that I hear a lot of is they go and get a massage, right? You go right into the shoulder joint. Now, some of the problems that I see practitioners that work with this is massage therapists, sports massage therapists, even physical therapists, chiropractors. They'll go into trying to mobilize the joint through the tissues, and they'll start massaging the capsule. They'll start breaking down the capsule. And although that can help, remember, we're trying to make sure that we don't increase an inflammatory process. So when we're putting pressure into the joint and we're creating more and more pain, guess what? Same idea with that stretching. Right. You're going to create more and more inflammation. And we don't want pain fibers to be firing or signaling the brain. So what we want to do is we want to maybe do some soft tissue work around the area that may be able to be helpful. Working on thoracic mobility, right? Working on foam rolling the thoracic spine, working on extension and flexion. Because remember, if we don't have motion of the areas that may have caused the pain in the first place, we might not have proper movement of the shoulder. Right. So we want to mobilize the areas around the area first before we even go into the capsule or try to mobilize that capsule in the first place.
Makes sense.
Okay, so
makes sense.
Step number 2, do not foam roll the shoulder. Do not get a massage on the capsule itself if it's painful. Now remember, the key word there is if it's painful. If you can get a massage and it feels pretty good in that area, well, for one, chances are it's probably not adhesive capsulitis. Number 2, if you can get massages around the area, you're probably helping the shoulder to increase its range instead of putting pressure and pain and causing more adhesions in the area. So step number 2, do not foam roll it. Do not massage the area of complaint. So step number 3 is the Codman circles. So with the Codman circles, I like this exercise a lot because it almost gives the patient that feel, right? It's the stretching that I want the shoulder to do. So the first or the third step is going to be distraction. We want to pull the shoulder along its stress lines, and when we pull the shoulder along its stress lines, it allows for proper healing. It doesn't create that pain signal. Now remember, if it does create pain, we have to figure out what exercises are going to be available for you, and distraction might not be the one for you. But when we hold this, a lot of the time, I would say 95% of my patients love this exercise because when we put a shoulder in distraction and we pull it away from the joint, it almost decompresses all of that pain. So this is a good feeling exercise, or should be a good feeling exercise for you to practice. So John, you're going to be my frozen shoulder guy.
All right.
Go ahead and hold that with your right arm. That's your right arm. So let's turn and actually face this way, and you're going to place this one hand on top of this chair and move backwards. There you go. And all you're going to do is just let the shoulder hang here. When you let the shoulder hang, that's allowing that distraction that you need. Now, when we do a Codman circle, we're just simply stirring the pot. And it doesn't have to be big ranges of motion. All you need to do is just kind of stir your arm through that pot. Now, what kind of weight should you use? Well, anything that's going to actually help you to distract. Now, 15 pounds right here is probably not enough for John because he needs a little bit more load because he's a bigger guy. There's a lot of muscle in this area, so we want to loosen that up, all right? Where we want to get something that we can challenge his shoulder. So in his case, I'll probably give him more like a 25 or a 30 pound. Remember, pain-free motion. Now you start with one way, do that for about 10 to 15 repetitions, and then you go back the other way. Now you want to go high repetitions on these because again, we're trying to signal the nervous system, and when we're trying to signal the nervous system and we're starting something, we want to increase tension for a longer period of time or increase load for a longer period of time. So start with rotation, start with 15 one way, start with 15 another way. Then relax and then just see how you feel. If it feels great, let's do another set. Let's do 2-3 sets of this. So step number 4 is pain-free movement. We want to load the joint in pain-free movement. So in John's case right now, we're going to put pressure into the ball. Now when we activate pain fibers are something that we don't want, or it increases that inflammation. So remember, load the joint to the point that you can. And in his case right now, we're going to start with 2 hands on the ball. And notice his shoulders are already nice and high. We want to try to load him to, there we go. We want to try to relax his shoulders down and just place pressure into the arm. Now from here, all he's going to do is just move up and down, only to pain-free range. Now we're starting with 2 hands just because what the arm that is injured might not have the movement capabilities. So we're just going to try to retrain the pattern with just a little bit of feedback. And the feedback loop right now is the stability ball. We're putting pressure into the joints. Now remember, his right hand is the one that's frozen. So we want to put pressure into that, and then eventually we want to create even more pressure. So now, when you guys feel comfortable with this, and this exercise is way too easy for you, we want to put pressure into that one arm and then create that range. So one of the things that John was telling us in the very beginning was he was saying, oh, we had our physios would walk our hands up the wall. That is the later stages of retraining shoulder movement. And in this case, we're loading the joint in pain-free movement, okay? We don't want to force that walking up the wall, and so we could just start him down and regress him from the ground and work our way up to it, okay? So as we're putting pressure into it, we can go up and down, and remember, high repetitions is what I want to get done. We go up, down, and then we go into our circles. We can circle it around, because remember, the shoulder is a ball and socket, and with the ball and socket, there's so many ranges that we need to grab, we need to get. And right now, we're only working in one plane. Once you get this plane down, we're gonna switch it up, and then we're gonna work the side plane, right? Go ahead and turn to your side, face me over here, and then bring the arm out to the side here, right? And so now he's in a kneeling position. He's putting pressure into the ball, into the stability ball. Now, if you guys don't have a stability ball, you can simply just go into your bed. I would rather have you guys utilize something that's a little unstable, which is a ball like this or a rolling chair. And you can use that rolling chair, and you're just gonna be working pain-free motion in this sense. And again, circles, you're gonna go lateral. He's gonna bring his arm out to the side and pull it back in, bring it out to the side, pull it back in. And it's very, very, very light contractions, very light movements that can allow the decrease in pain. Tip number 5 is reactionary drills that we want to challenge the shoulder with without putting too much pain or pressure into the joint. And so when we work on reactionary drills, the shoulder is being forced to fire, and we're working with the nervous system to work quicker with the pain fibers, right? So one of the things that we want to do is we utilize a softball here with our patients, and we just have them play catch with themselves with their hand facing down. And so with that, what I have my patients doing is I have about 50 catches that they have to do in this plane, meaning their hand is going to be in front of their body. Then we bring it out to the side. So they play catch again with the softball onto the side of their body. And it's kind of tough, right? Yeah. And notice what's happening. He's actually looking at the ball, which is a primary thing that we want to utilize with the nervous system, right? We want to create proprioception, or knowing where our shoulder is in space. And so the more we see, our eyes are focusing on that reaction, and the more that our hands are connecting with the brain, the shoulder is in the middle of all of that, and it'll actually react and decrease pain, okay? And so he could use a ball to catch, which is probably going to be the harder way, or he could utilize a stability ball, and he could work on bouncing and dribbling. So you could start with dribbling, and then he could start dribbling in the different planes of motion. Perfect. There you go. All right, so there are your five tips to start with frozen shoulder. Remember, you guys want pain-free movement, things that you guys can possibly do to decrease. Now, movement decreases pain. Remember, so the more we do pain-free movement, the better that shoulder is going to be. Thanks for joining us, you guys. Make sure that you guys share this to anybody that you know that has frozen shoulder, anybody that you know that might be dealing with a chronic issue within the shoulder. These exercises might be able to help, but I highly recommend that you guys get checked by a professional first, a person that actually does the assessment on you, checks the shoulder, checks your range, checks it in active motion and passive motion, plays around with the joint, not a person that just looks at it and just says, hey, you have frozen shoulder. That's not something that we want. Like, subscribe, share, comment below. Let us know how this helped you guys. Thank you. Have a good one.